The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello, and welcome to today's webinar. I'm Nick Zulovich, Senior Editor of Subprime Auto Finance News. In today's webinar, Make the Car Buying Experience More Convenient, we're going to learn more about this topic from Matt Boyce and Taylor Cutler from Podium. But before we get started, I want to go over a few housekeeping items for today's webinar. Please make sure you've dialed in using the phone number provided in your communication email, or you're able to listen via your PC speakers. We are recording today's webinar, and we'll make that recording available to you as soon as possible after our session today. You will be in listen-only mode for this webinar, but we will reserve some time after the presentation for a Q&A session. You can submit your questions at any time through the questions box on the GoToWebinar control panel. And if we aren't able to get to your question today, don't worry, because we'll forward it on to the team at Podium so they can respond back to you directly via email. And lastly, if you have any problems during our session today, please use the hand icon to alert a member of our team. So with several years of experience between them, let's get right to Matt and Taylor for our webinar. Gentlemen, the floor is now yours.
Thanks, Nick. Thanks for introducing us. So today's webinar, the title is Make the Car Buying Experience More Convenient. We're going to go over 5 ways to maintain consistent interaction throughout the entire car buying experience. My name is Taylor Cutler. I'm the Digital Marketing Manager here at Podium. I'm joined by Matt Boyce, who's a Marketing Director. We kind of deal with things more on the side of demand generation, of driving people to Podium and also to dealerships. So we're excited to get this started and dive right on in. So to go through things, what we're going to talk about today, just give you a little bit of a roadmap. So first, we're going to talk about how you can get chosen over the competition by identifying key interactions in the customer journey. So that's everything from being discovered in the beginning to being chosen, and then also keeping and making sure those customers come back to you and can even act as a brand ambassador, making sure your dealership gets chosen over others in the future. We want to go over some tips to create those customer interaction strategy to attract and retain more customers, and some of the best practices for communicating with your customers through the right channels at the right time and through the right channel for the highest impact. So without any more waiting, let's just get started. So customer interaction, pretty simple. We're basically talking about any type of communication or engagement you're having with your consumers. So, you know, that could be when they're talking to you face to face. That could be when they find you online. I mean, there's a lot of different ways we can talk about that. And most businesses are really good at face-to-face interaction. I would say that dealerships particularly have this mastered. You have a perfectly competitive product where it doesn't matter if, you know, you're in Canada or if you're down in the United States, if it's south of Florida, you're going to be selling essentially the exact same product. The difference is the service that you're delivering to your customers and how you're selling them those cars. So most dealerships are great at that. Where a lot of small businesses or medium businesses or in general might need a little bit of help is how they're interacting with their consumers online. How are you guys able to, you know, drive them through that customer journey through discovery all the way till after they've purchased a car or anything else from you, and you can drive that loyalty from them and get them to repeat business. So let's go a little bit further into that. So the 2 different types of interactions we're going to be kind of discussing are direct interactions and indirect. Now, some quick examples of like something that's direct, obviously, is face-to-face, and don't really want to talk a ton about that just because I know you guys are really good at that and you have that mastered, so I'm sure you're fine. But some small things to address as far as that goes in direct contact is that you need to make sure you're accessible. So in person, that would be making sure that you have enough staffing so that anyone that's coming in to look at your dealership can find someone, that they don't have to walk around and look stupid, but that they can find somebody immediately and, you know, get their questions answered. Another form of direct communication would be like a phone number. So if you have your phone number posted online on your Google page, you need to be able to have someone that's going to answer that directly. You know, people aren't going to want to just get answered by a machine. So making sure you're accessible through all those channels. Also making sure that, all your salesmen are really engaging and that they're not just, being overly pushy, which all dealerships probably hear all the time, but that they're giving, a lot of feedback from these customers, and that they're also just making sure every single consumer is completely informed. Some indirect channels that we're going to be looking at would be things like all the advertising you're doing. I mean, there's a huge budget that every dealership has to be able to try to reach these consumers and make them find your dealership. But another thing that people don't really think about is their online reviews. You can spend as much money as you want on your advertising budget and get in front of as many people as you need. But at the end of the day, when a consumer goes to look up your business online, and it'll probably most likely be through Google, one of the things that they'll look through are your online reviews. So making sure that the content on there is good and that you have a lot of it is going to help increase the trust among your consumers, and it'll help you be chosen. So going a little bit further into customer interaction. So I just talked about this customer journey. So the first part, the most important part, right, is just getting people into the door. Most of you, once you get somebody into your dealership, are probably really good at helping them close. You go over sales trainings every day. You do everything possible to make this the best experience possible. But the biggest part is just like kind of getting them in. So as far as like online reviews and how they're affecting this is your local search. So if you're a dealership and somebody's going to go online and Google Honda's near me, it's going to pull up, like 5 or 6 dealerships in the area that they can look. But your search ranking, being number 1 is heavily determined on how many online reviews you have and your star rating. So making sure that you are managing that is absolutely crucial to be able to get discovered. Once, somebody chooses your business or at least decides to go to your business, driving loyalty is really important by keeping them happy and talking to them. So let's say after a customer buys a car, sending them a message and say, hey, you're due for an oil change, or hey, how's the car treating you, is going to actually go a long way to driving that loyalty and help them drive more business to your storefront and to your showroom floor. And the last part of it, as far as improving the experience, is sometimes they might not have the best experience, but if there's a sales rep or something small like the bathrooms weren't clean, you need to know about those things, and making sure you're keeping this interaction happening throughout the entire customer journey is crucial to make sure that you know those things and you can improve those experiences. So going over again, just this overall customer journey, local businesses need a way to turn online browsers into offline buyers. To accomplish this, they need to stay engaged with consumers from discovery all the way to consideration. You need to have this all the way from the purchase to stay engaged post-purchase to impact repeat business and grow lifetime value of your customers. So consistent interaction helps businesses attract net new customers while also creating loyal customers that continue to come back for more. Finally, businesses that take a proactive approach to customer interaction and have tools in place to manage and capture the content of those interactions can use that data to impact the customer experience in real time. So if you find out like immediately from using this interaction that, hey, the bathrooms aren't clean, you can fix that ASAP and not have that affect other customers in the journey. Or, hey, maybe one sales rep's having a bad day and you need to know about that. This can give you that feedback almost in real time and make sure you, talk to that person. Now, when you're having all these customer interactions throughout the entire customer journey, whether it's them finding your dealership or it's after they've purchased a car, you need to make sure that you have a purpose in mind for every single interaction. So for example, this is really important like for direct interactions. So if your interaction event is to send an invite 30 minutes after they've had an appointment to come and look at a car, your desired outcome might be to have them fill out an NPS or get feedback on like just the experience they had, just like we talked about. Similarly, if you're going to send a review invite to get them to leave an online review on your business, the desired outcome is to get that on the site that matters the most. So when you establish a desired outcome, you usually improve the message, timing, and tone of your communication. So tailoring this to the exact purpose is going to be huge on making sure that the right thing happens and that you're getting the results that you're really looking for. All right, now we're going to kind of dive into how these interactions are going to, impact the customer journey as a whole. So let's look at that customer journey again. So when you have a consumer come to the dealership, they're going to kind of do this online, offline, online cycle where they're most likely, I mean, there are channels still that they're going to find you that aren't offline, but most likely they're going to find you because they did an online search. Most of the time that's going to be that they simply just did a Google search and they just typed it in, and then your dealership came up along with a few others when they're looking up a specific brand. If not, there are still other things you can do, but the biggest part about this is that advertising is what's going to drive all this discovery. Obviously, you probably hire an SEO agency or you have somebody that's completely in charge of optimizing your search for Google. But if you don't, that obviously is something that you're going to want to do. The other thing is that local search is even more important for car dealerships because the proximity to the consumer looking up your business is going to be one of the more driving factors on improving your ranking for local search. And what's affecting like we said before, is simply just online reviews. So going through that, and then the next phase is there still could be online, but they're going to find your phone number in that listing and they're going to call. Another phone number to have that would be great to have listed is your phone number that you could be texting with them. Most consumers these days, they might want to actually just call you on the phone, but they also might not have time. Like a lot of you guys don't have time, they might just appreciate a text message. So having that listed is going to be really nice for them to be able to get in contact with you. And that's when they're going to be able to switch to a face-to-face interaction that you already all know really well. And that's where the purchase is going to happen. Now, while they're still in person, you might give them like a survey to fill out after they've made the purchase so you can know how you guys can improve. You might ask them for feedback just in person, or you might in person ask them, hey, if you had a good time, can you, would you mind going online and leaving us an online review? At that point, once they leave the dealership, they're going to go back to an online search. So this is when you guys could be interacting with them with a follow-up email, a follow-up text message. You can ask them for referrals. You can say, hey, come, if you, refer a friend to come look at our dealership and they mention your name, you can get a free oil change, or, you can do a variety of things offline, but that's going to be what's the biggest factor as far as getting them to be loyal and keep on interacting with your business offline. So moving on, so back to that discovery phase. So indirect interactions with your business create awareness and keep you top of mind as they decide where they want to spend their money. Reviews are especially important because they have a large number of reviews coming in on a regular basis. Not only helps influence purchase decisions, but they also play a significant role in where a business ranks in local search. They're becoming an integral part of the customer journey and how consumers conduct research and make purchase decisions. So 58% of consumers look at online reviews at least once a week. So really managing your online reputation is what's going to help you get found in the first place, but continuing to do that is going to keep them coming back. Now, driving home really just that fact of why online reviews matter, 3.3 is the lowest star ratings consumers would even consider to engage with the business. So as far as dealerships go, I would say that number might even be a little bit higher. This survey was taken based off of all consumers, but you want to make sure your dealership's at least at a 4-point star rating. Always, obviously, you'd like to get as close to a 5-star rating as possible, but at least a 3.3 is the lowest they consider, and I'd say even a 3.5 for dealerships. 82% of consumers say that the content review has convinced them to make a purchase. So you don't want to necessarily just get people to go online and leave you a review that just says 5 stars, had a great time. You might want to say, hey, could you leave us an online review kind of talking about the customer service today, or the cleanliness of the showroom floor, or the variety of cars. If those are things that you can get them to leave in the review, it might help convince people to actually make a purchase. For example, when people look at Amazon, and if they're looking at a product, more important than just the amount of reviews they've gotten and the star rating is the actual content. So if somebody's looking at a car part on Amazon, they might see something that wasn't included in the description. That's going to be important for that product, but for you, it might be more something about customer service. And last of all, last stat we got here is just that 93% of consumers say online reviews have an impact on their purchase decision. So it goes without saying, I guess, now that just online reviews are really important, and that if you're not managing that, that you're going to be missing out, and your competition probably will be taking advantage of that. So now we talked about how important online reviews are. Now, how do we make sure that you're getting online reviews? This is something that we talk about a lot here at Podium. This is what we're really focused around. So let's go over these 6 steps. So the first step of determining the right timing of the invitation. So whether you're sending out an email to invite someone to leave a review, if you're sending it through a text message that's hyperlinked to leave a review, or if you're just asking in person or have a placement card, you need to make sure that you're doing it at the right time. You know, if it's in the middle of the purchase and they're still not like 100% down for buying the car, that probably wouldn't be the right time to send that review invitation. But you know, if they're just leaving the showroom floor or they're driving off the lot, that could be a great time. Or if they're having some downtime where they're sitting filling out some paperwork for financing, that might also be a good time. You just want to determine for your specific dealership, when do you think consumers have the time to leave a review for you after making a purchase? Or when would they be the happiest, right? If you want to make sure that you got happy customers leaving reviews. The next step is to eliminate barriers. So as we all know, the number one thing that would keep someone from leaving an online review is just the fact that it might be kind of difficult, or it might take them time, or it would make it something that they'd have to go out of their way to do. Most consumers are willing to leave an online review, but if they come into like, you know, any sort of barrier, they're going to just kind of abandon and not really care. It's kind of like going to the gym. Matt here has been making an effort to go to CrossFit most mornings, but when he wakes up at like 5:30 or however early he wakes up, sometimes maybe he didn't have his clothes ready and they're still in the wash, you know, and so, oh, well, I'll go to the gym tomorrow, you know, he says, or maybe, you know, his car keys, he can't find them in one of his pockets. These are all just going to be barriers going to the gym. But as he told me one time, he had his, he wanted to make sure he, you know, actually was getting to the gym. So he left his clothes perfectly folded on the side of his bed, all ready to go. He had his, you know, his grip tape for all that CrossFit stuff, and all that stuff just ready. His keys were, you know, right next to the on his desk. Just everything was ready to go, and he actually went 2 days in a row that week. So a significant improvement from nothing. So eliminating barriers is going to make it really easy for your customers to leave an online review about your business. Step 3 is to set the expectation for the review. So now that you've, you know, got rid of all the barriers of like having them leave a review, such as like, you know, not being able to get to the review site fast, or having it through like a placement card to type in a physical URL, but you've made it easy. You need to let them know what to expect. So if they're not expecting to get on the review, they're less likely to do it. But if you say, hey, you know, thanks for coming in today. About, you know, 30 minutes from when you get home and you're all settled down, we're going to send you a text message that'll, if you click on the link, it'll take you straight to leave an online review about us. That would really help us. They're going to be waiting for that, and then when they get that text when they get home, they're going to be way more likely to actually leave that review. 4th step is to target the right review sites. People always ask us which, you know, online review sites they should be focusing on to have their customers leave online reviews. For dealerships, you know, there are some like specific industry sites that you could be using, such as, you know, DealerRater or Edmunds, but we always say is Google's king. So Google reviews are going to help your online reviews more than anything else. They're going to help your local search rankings, and so you always want to be targeting that, but also just kind of take a look and say, hey, like, you know, are there certain review sites that I don't have a great, you know, I don't have a ton of reviews left on, or I don't have a great star rating. So just kind of know which, you know, ones you should be targeting before you send that invite. The 5th step, we kind of talked about this, but you want to invite via text message. We found that text messages have a 99% open rate compared to email, which is usually a good email rate would be around 20%. Text messages are just a lot more effective, and it's just the way that people are communicating in the 21st century. So using a text message that's hyperlinked to the review site is what you're going to be doing. And the sixth step is just using technology to automate that process. So, you can try doing that manually. It might get a little cumbersome. So, getting a software or some type of tool that you can use to make sure that's just automated so that every consumer, every customer that you guys deal with is getting an online review is what's going to really help you. So now that we've kind of talked about online reviews, we're going to move on a little bit to some more customer interactions, but I'm going to turn it over to Matt.
Thanks, Taylor. This is Matt the CrossFitter. You can tell if I only make it to the gym 2 days in a row, then I'm not truly hardcore. But I do have some good tips for you. So if our goal is to make the car buying decision as convenient as possible, then we want to use the most convenient and familiar channel. So this is going to come into play in the consideration phase. So you have customers. You can't make a sale with a customer if they never actually walk through your door. So you want to maintain consistent, personalized interaction by that consumer. So there's a couple ways you could do that. You can send appointment reminders. You can send updates on pricing and inventory. You can even manage all interactions and monitor them from one centralized place. So the car buying process is definitely changing. The consulting firm McKinsey just did a survey, and they said that 10 years ago, in 2007, the average car buyer personally visited 5 different auto showrooms. Today, that same buyer will only visit 1.6 dealerships. So they still spend a lot of time, but they spend that time now online. So 11 hours will go into a purchase decision, and or online, compared to only 3.5 hours offline or in your showroom or test driving a car or something like that. And so as you consider about the way to make the car buying experience so much more convenient, a lot of time will need to go into that online presence. So creating a seamless transition from online to offline interactions is going to be key. To do this, we can take a holistic approach to managing that customer interaction. One excellent way is to use a pre-sales interaction, so a platform. So a lot of dealerships will use a search engine optimization agency to make sure your listings are optimized and monitor your website and make sure all the content is there. You may have a handful of direct mail campaigns. You may do all these different things to drive awareness and drive people into your business. These solutions are great at ensuring customers visit your showroom, but you need to make sure that you've got a way to follow up with those customers post-interaction. Failure to do this can let some of your customers fall through the cracks. As a dealer, you've spent years and years honing your craft. When someone comes in, you can shake their hand, speak face-to-face, figure out what they're truly looking for. Your business is very proficient at giving them what they want. That allows you to sell more cars, do what you do best. After that purchase is a possibility to improve your customer retention, to get repeat business, and to have those customers come again for their next purchase or their child's next purchase or something like that. There's a couple ways to do this. So after the visit, I recommend sending some sort of a follow-up. So this could be a handwritten thank you card all the way down to just a brief text message. I've got a really good friend who's in the construction industry, and at the end of a job, he will throw a party for his customer. And so he's in Hawaii. He rents a snow cone truck. They'll park it in front of their house. This is a chance for their friends to clean their house once, let everybody come over, see the new kitchen, see the new bathroom, see whatever they've done, have snow cones. And it works really well because his customer gets a chance to show off and feel appreciated, and at the same time, he's gaining new customers. That's the type of experience that you can surprise and delight your customer. Another thing to do would be send an invite for future appointments. So right as you're closing a deal, go ahead and schedule their follow-up service appointment, an oil change, or really anything. It's an excellent opportunity right after that purchase to ask for a review or feedback. That could be general feedback, it could be your Net Promoter Score, your NPS, or ask for a review on Facebook, Google, or simply to share something to their social media network. So we've got 5 ways that you can consistently maintain that interaction with your customers. The first is to stay informed. So this is all about knowing your customers. You want to know who they are and how they like to communicate. Not everyone wants to pick up the phone and call their dealer for everything they need. Some want to have a couple frequently asked questions on your website. Some may want to do some sort of a chat. They may want to email. And you want to have those available to each type of customer you have. Stay up to date with the latest communication trends. If you see a lot of people are chatting, you may want to install something on your browser that allows them to chat. And there's a handful of ways to do that. A couple years ago, the dealers that really implemented strong Facebook and Twitter presences were rewarded, and the next Facebook and the next Twitter will continue to reward you. So make sure you're staying on that cutting edge, and then interact with customers on their terms. Not one car model fits every buyer, and the same way with interacting with your customers. Second, gain valuable insights into your experience. So as you're having all these touch points, collect and manage that feedback. You'll be able to Taylor hinted at this, but you can quickly change your experience. If you see that one of your sales reps is consistently getting negative feedback, it may be time to either get them off your showroom floor or put them in another area of your business. It can give you very quick insights into how your business is performing. And most of all, the automotive industry, the dealers in your city are very competitive. When you're offering the same product in different locations, an economist would call that a perfectly competitive marketplace. And so it's hard to differentiate yourself. And so if you can ensure that your customers are having a great experience, or if you know they're having a negative experience, you can quickly change that. So use all those tools to be able to compare yourself to the competition. Second, know when to engage. Now this is tricky. It almost requires a magic ball if you look at this in one way. So to interact with your customers, make sure you're doing so at the right time, with the right message, through the right channel. And that sounds easy, but it is more difficult to implement than you think. And so Google came up with something to help you know when it's the right time. They coined a phrase called micro moments. And essentially, a micro moment is when a customer intends to act. So that's when they want to know something, they want to go somewhere, or they want to buy something. So in one exact moment, let's say you're at a party and somebody says, "Oh, who's that actor in this one movie?" In that moment, you need to know. You'll Google it, you'll figure out who it is, and you surprise your friends with that knowledge. At the same time, someone may be in a buying mode. They do a quick Google search and they want those results. And so as a business, you'll want to show up, you're going to want to respond, and you're going to need to be able to engage those customers. And those can come in all forms and fashions. It depends on your specific business, but it's just important that when that customer is in the buying mode, that you're present and ready to engage them. Step 3 is to take a proactive approach. So find opportunities to interact across the entire customer journey. So at the top or the beginning of their journey, make sure you're doing your advertising and marketing. And I think as dealers, you're really good at that. You want to have an online presence, and don't wait for your customers to review you. Go ahead and ask for those online reviews and ask for that feedback. And at the same time, if you know that someone's due up for a service, go ahead and reach out to them and remind them. I think that as you're proactive, you'll be rewarded. So another key is to respond quickly and to be prompt. So we talked about those micro moments where a customer wants to take action and they want to do so quickly. And if you're too slow to respond, you're going to keep your customers waiting and it'll be a negative experience. There's a couple ways to do that. You can assign specific individuals and they can be responsible for that. So you've got coverage 24/7 at all times. And you can even develop a service level agreement with your employees to ensure a rapid response. So for example, yesterday was a state holiday called Pioneer Day. And while the office was on vacation, we had assigned the phones and our chat lines to specific people during specific hours. And simply because it was a state holiday, we're an international business and we had a lot of leads come in. It was actually our best sales day of the month, even on a company holiday. And so we feel rewarded for having a system set up to respond to those inquiries. So number 5, be flexible. Your customers' interaction preferences will change, but don't be afraid to change with them. I had a fascinating experience where I drove by a McDonald's or a Burger King, and on their sign out of the front of the store, they said, "We're hiring. Text the manager. Here's his phone number." And that's pretty fascinating compared to when I applied at Burger King a couple of years ago. We had to walk in, fill out an application, and I was kind of marveling at that when I drove up to the McDonald's drive-through window, and their target audience is going to be young people. And on the drive-through window, they had a big icon that said, "Looking for a job? Apply at McDonald's on Snapchat," with their little snap code. And so both of those businesses have done a good job of being flexible, knowing what their customers want, and delivering that experience to them. And I'm not saying that you need to start selling cars on Snapchat. However, just be aware that these preferences are changing and you're going to want to change as well. So in summary, here's a couple key outcomes from consistent interaction. With this consistent interaction, you'll have improved local search engine optimization ranking. So Google wants to rank businesses that are going to delight their customers at the top. And so if you have a lot of reviews, if your Google My Business page is up to date with lots of information and photos, and you have plenty of ways to connect with your business, Google will rank you higher, which will result in increased revenue. You can have personalized relationships across a broad base of your customers, where, like I said, not one model fits all customers. The same with customer interaction, and make sure you can personalize those relationships. Additionally, you'll have a better understanding of your customers' wants, needs, and preferences. I've got a fascinating example of this. We have a customer in the carpet cleaning industry. The technician went out, cleaned their carpet. They finished quickly and were out the door soon. However, when the customer got home, they noticed a giant strip down the center of their living room carpet that the technician had just missed. And so that business had set up a way to easily just text in, and that customer, when they received a text to say, how was your service today, they just responded and said, "Actually, you missed a spot." And the business responded very quickly. They said, "Don't worry, we'll come back and we'll clean the whole carpet again tomorrow." In in a typical fashion, that customer, if they're as non-confrontational as maybe my wife would be, they would simply ignore the issue and just tell their neighbors and their friends and their family that they had a bad experience, which would be devastating to that business. Instead, they were able to quickly resolve that need, and it all came down to delivering what that customer wanted and communicating with them in a convenient way. As you do so, you'll become the obvious choice for car buyers in your area. You can set yourself apart when the products are so comparable. The experience is the differentiation. As an example, 68% of customers are willing to spend 15% more if they're assured they'll have a positive experience. And so for that premium experience, you can't maybe double your price, but you can charge a little more for that premium experience. Now, specifically, how can Podium help improve your customer interactions? Podium does many of these same things that we talked about today. First, in attempting to drive more reviews, Podium can automate the online review invitation and management process to make discovery easy. So with your CRM, your customer management solution, you can set a stage where as soon as they've essentially finished their paperwork and are waiting for their car to be driven around to the front of the lot, they can receive a text message that might say, "Hey Matt, we really appreciate your business. Please click the link below to leave us a review." We found that our customers can 10x the number of reviews they're generating in a month simply from that easy automated process. We can help make interacting with your customers simple and convenient. We've got the ability to manage all of your customer interactions from one centralized dashboard. Not only can you send them a text to ask them for a review invite, you can just send them a text to say, "Thank you for your business. Was everything okay today?" You can thank them for their business. You can do a handful of different text-based interactions. You can also consolidate all customer interactions and see across businesses what type of interaction you're getting. And so you're not necessarily managing all of that just from your messages in your iPhone, but from a centralized dashboard. And then you can provide consumable reports that make it easy to make the most out of each interaction. And so one example of that is if you've got a 10 location business, you'll be able to see your average number of ratings, your star rating. You'll get positive and negative feedback all from one place. And so you can very easily manage your entire dealership just from one page. Now, with that, if you do decide to take interest in Podium, we'd be happy to offer a discount. Simply use Podium 17 when speaking with our sales team. Now, with that, we'd like to open it up. We know that your business is going to be specific and may require some specific examples. So, do we have any questions?
Excellent job, gentlemen. A lot of great information there from Matt and Taylor with Podium. If you do have any questions for these gentlemen from Podium, please use the questions box on the GoToWebinar control panel. And as just a reminder, we are recording today's session, and we'll make the recording and presentation available to you as soon as possible, so you can review the material again and as well as share it with other individuals and managers at your store. And gentlemen, throughout the presentation, you referenced Google in various ways. If you could, just to reiterate why Google reviews tend to be the most important, even though there's other automotive outlets, as you referenced, where dealers' reviews can land. But again, if you could circle back as to why the Google reviews appear to be the most important for dealerships to gather in the online space.
Yeah, great point. So we recognize that Google isn't the only show in town, but it is the biggest. If you want to go where your customers are, the largest number of people are on Google. And so we recommend that be priority number one in your efforts. But in addition, there may be a specific site or network in your community that may be bigger, and so I wouldn't necessarily focus entirely on Google. We simply recommend make that a strong presence.
Excellent, excellent, very good. And during the presentation, you referenced DealerRater and Edmunds, for example. But one of the store managers who's joined us was curious about your assessment of CarGurus and the offerings that they have. If you care to make an assessment of how dealers are benefiting from that particular platform.
So as far as other platforms go, I mean, we try to stick to what is going to help them get found and get chosen, which is, just general online reviews on Google and Facebook, and then a few of the other sites that matter. So as far as like all these other platforms, like they are relevant. The biggest thing you want to do, though, kind of like just reiterating what Matt said, is you want to get in front of the largest base of your customers. So if for some reason your specific dealership has more people finding you through CarGurus, then you want to drive more traffic there, right? But in general, it's going to be, you just want to be targeting the more broad audience. Now, when you're sending out invitations, a good way to kind of balance that is kind of just take a look on your presence on each individual site. So for example, like let's say you're getting 30 Google reviews every single month, month over month, and like you have an average star rating of like 4.7 or something like that, then you're doing great. Now, if you at the same time are on, DealerRater or Edmunds, have only a few reviews here and there, it might be important to start driving there. You kind of want to have a balance sheet, if you would, on all these different platforms.
And this is Matt. I'll add to that as well. Just one more point. So specifically with Podium's tool, we recognize that not everyone's using Podium right now, but when we send out a text message to request feedback or a review invite, we'll send them to a landing page where they can select which platform they want to review on. And you as the dealer can prioritize and put Google first, or you could put DealerRater.com as your top preference. So as you get a strong presence on one, you may want to prioritize another. So anyway, we recommend a strong balance across those platforms.
Again, our special guests for this webinar from Podium are Taylor Cutler and Matt Boyce, trying to assist us in ways to help turn those online searches into vehicle deliveries. And to close our webinar session, gentlemen, and again, for those who are joined us, please be watching your inbox for a message containing the recording and materials that the folks at Podium have shared. Perhaps as a way, you shared a lot of great suggestions and advice. If a store is looking to completely revamp or maybe just make a few tweaks here and there, what would you suggest is a way to get started toward the recommendations you shared?
Yeah, it is an exciting time to be in the industry because so much change is happening so quickly. And so, first of all, it's going to just take action. Where if your dealership isn't innovating and keeping up the competition, will leave you behind. We think one simple way to interact is simply allow customers to text back and forth with your business. We feel like that's a simple way that more and more people are seeking to do, especially as your buyers are getting younger and younger. They want to text on their own terms. So we would recommend, in addition to everything you're already doing, set up a line that allows your customers to text back and forth. I think you'll be glad you did.
Excellent. That's Matt Boyce and Taylor Cutler with Podium, offering suggestions of how to help online reviews and more vehicle deliveries. Gentlemen, thank you so much for for all of the great recommendations that you've shared with us.
Thank you for your time. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Everyone, thank you so much for joining us, and best wishes for continued success. Thank you again.